I've spent years getting my hands dirty uncovering how things really work beneath the surface. We assume our calendar, January, February, Monday, Tuesday, is set in stone. But what if it's not? The Gregorian calendar, used worldwide, is solar based on Earth's orbit around the sun. But ancient Hebrews used a lunar calendar marking months by the moon. That shift, from sun to moon, changes everything. Our modern week is a continuous cycle, but what if the biblical week was tied to the moon's phases with Sabbaths anchored to the new moon? If so, our current system for worship and biblical feasts could be completely misaligned. This isn't just history, it's about understanding the original instructions. If the Creator set a clock in the sky, wouldn't you want to read it, right? The implications touch prophecy, salvation, and the rhythm of biblical living. So, let's dig in. Let's see if we've been reading the wrong clock all along. The truth might be hiding in plain sight, right on your kitchen wall. Time to get our hands dirty. We all know the 7-day week, but where in the Bible does it command an unbroken, continuous weekly cycle, independent of the moon? Instead, Scripture ties months, feasts, and even Sabbaths to the moon. Passover, for example, is on the 14th day of the first month. But which month and when does it start? The biblical calendar began months with the new moon, a day of worship. If we use a Roman solar calendar, how can we celebrate feasts on the right days? The Sabbath and new moon are linked in places like Ezekiel 46:1, suggesting the weekly cycle might restart with each new moon. This challenges centuries of tradition, but truth isn't always comfortable. Are our Sabbaths and feasts aligned with the original celestial clock, or are we reenacting history on arbitrary dates? If the timing is off, what else have we missed? Let's keep digging. To understand the biblical calendar, you have to know the language. English translations carry modern biases, but the original Hebrew words reveal a different picture. Take Chodesh, it means to renew, directly tied to the moon's cycle. Another word, Kisa, in Psalm 81:3, is linked to the full moon. The word for week, Shavua, means a period of 7, but the Bible doesn't say it's a continuous cycle. Instead, Sabbaths and weeks seem to be counted from the new moon, the first Sabbath on the 8th, then the 15th, 22nd, and 29th. This creates a repeating lunar pattern, lost in our modern system. It's not about twisting words, but stripping away assumptions to see time as ancient Hebrews did, cycles marked by the sun and moon. The moon set the appointed times, the feasts of the Lord. If we ignore the moon or misidentify its phase, we misread the divine clock. The biblical calendar is a living system, not an abstract timeline. Understanding the language is the first step to reading it right. Let's look at how this plays out. If the biblical calendar is lunar, when does the month begin? Tradition says the first crescent marks the new moon, but evidence suggests the original new moon was the full moon. Genesis says the moon was created to give light. A full moon is the brightest, most obvious sign. Psalm 81:3 uses Kese, meaning full moon, as the appointed time for the feast. If the new moon is the full moon, the calendar becomes simple. Just look up and see the brilliant orb. This was a calendar for everyone, not just priests or astronomers. The full moon marked a new cycle, visible to all. It's a system designed for real life. The Exodus is foundational, and its timing was precise. Passover instructions in Exodus 12. Select a lamb on the 10th, slaughter it on the 14th, leave Egypt that night. If the month starts with the full moon, the 14th is near the last quarter, meaning little moonlight. Deuteronomy 16:1 says they left by night. Psalm 105 says God provided a pillar of fire for light. Why need supernatural light if there was a full moon? Because by the 14th the moon was waning and the night was dark. The lunar model fits the narrative. The pillar of fire was a practical necessity. Every detail aligns with a lunar calendar, not a solar one. The story's timing makes sense only when you follow the moon. The blueprint is clearer than ever. You can't run life on two clocks. The Roman solar calendar and the biblical lunar calendar are fundamentally different. The Roman system is fixed, efficient, and ignores the moon. The biblical calendar is flexible, tied to the heavens. Months begin with the new moon weeks and Sabbaths are anchored to it. You can't observe a lunar Sabbath on a solar Saturday. They rarely align. When Rome rose to power, the solar calendar was enforced, and the lunar system was suppressed. The old ways were labeled Jewish and discarded, but losing the calendar meant losing the key to God's timing. The two systems don't mix, one had to win. The result, we lost the original rhythm. It's time to reconsider which clock we follow. The biblical feasts are divine appointments, not just holidays. Each feast, Passover, unleavened bread, Pentecost, trumpets, atonement, is set by the lunar calendar. The Messiah's death, burial, and resurrection happened on the exact days the feasts prescribed. The lunar calendar's precision is the point, it's proof of a divine plan. The Gospels show the Messiah crucified on Passover, in the tomb on the high Sabbath, and rising on the third day. This only fits if you count from the new moon, not a continuous week. Forcing the story into a modern calendar creates contradictions. The lunar cycle is the framework for the most important event in history. The feasts and the cross are inseparable from the moon's rhythm. The calendar is prophecy in motion. The full moon as new moon finds ultimate confirmation at the crucifixion. The Gospels record darkness from noon to 3 as the Messiah died. A solar eclipse is impossible during a traditional full moon Passover. But if the new moon is the full moon, Passover on the 14th falls during the dark moon when an eclipse is possible. The darkness could have been a divinely timed eclipse, a cosmic sign. The month would begin with the full moon, light of the world then waned to darkness as the Messiah was sacrificed. The heavens told the story, light appeared, then was taken away. The lunar model resolves the timing and symbolism. The sky itself bore witness to the plan. The calendar and the cross are perfectly aligned. Does it matter if our calendar is off? Absolutely. The calendar is tied to the heart of the gospel, the timeline of salvation. The Messiah fulfilled the spring feasts on the exact days, proving his identity. The fall feasts, trumpets, atonement, tabernacles, point to future events. If he fulfilled the spring feast precisely, won't he do the same for the fall? If our calendar is wrong, we'll miss the appointed times. This isn't about date setting, but about being watchful and understanding the seasons. The biblical calendar is our tool for reading God's plan. Ignoring it is like reading a contract with the wrong dates. Getting the dates right honors the one who wrote the plan. Truth matters, especially when it's written in the sky. We've dug through tradition, language, and history, and it's messy. It's easier to accept the calendar on the wall, but truth isn't found in comfort. I'm not here to start a new religion, just to present the evidence and encourage you to think. Study the verses, the Hebrew words, and ask if our modern system fits the ancient text. Does a continuous week make more sense than a week tied to the moon? This journey takes humility and a willingness to unlearn. The pressure to conform is real, but the pursuit of truth is personal. Test everything, hold fast to what is good, keep digging, don't take my word for it. Your faith is your own dirty job. Read the Bible with fresh eyes. The Creator's clock is still ticking, waiting for us to learn how to read it again. The truth is out there, but you'll have to get your hands dirty to find it.